Good afternoon and welcome to Welcome Home, Garden Plaza Valley View. Kevin Miller with you once again. Hope you're having a great afternoon. Oh, Halloween just around the corner. We have a special show for you today. Pamela Sternberg joining us, El Presidente, General Manager here at Garden Plaza Valley View. Last week we were talking about you being the owner, but ownership is something that you take seriously. You feel that this is your place.
Oh, I think when somebody hands you a building that operates 24 hours a day and you take care of residents and you manage their checkbook, that I do own it.
Right.
I either make it, break it, or am successful or not. These buildings take on the personality, the drive of everybody in the building, and that starts with me. I think that every building I've ever run in and every general manager or executive director I've trained in my career, I've said to them, this building's going to take on your personality, so you probably should have one.
Good points of reference. We can't talk enough about trust. And we hear that from the residents, we hear it from the staff, but many times people come here, they're very vulnerable, and they have, just like with radio, they have a lot of choices. What does trust mean to you?
Trust means that no matter what happens in this facility, we're going to do the best to make good choices and take care of them. But not only that, we have to worry about their quality of life. We have to worry about their health. We have to worry about their nutrition. There's so many things that go into the holistic view of what we do. It's not just one piece to the puzzle. We have a whole puzzle here, and it takes a lot of pieces to make it work.
And finally, what brought you here?
To Valley View? My regional director of operations now called me one day and said, do I have a deal for you? And I said, really? Where are you at? And she said, Garden Plaza Valley View. I've worked in the Boise area, in the Treasure Valley, for probably 15 years. I was doing some consulting, and they called me and said that this is an opportunity we have. Would you like to come join us? And that started it. In a little over 2 years, I'm still sitting in this chair. It was supposed to be a 6-month operation.
That's how it usually works.
It is. I think that anything that you start that has great meaning, that you find a home, that you should continue until it's the best it can be. And Garden Plaza Valley View has come a long way. Both of us have. Myself and my staff. And we had a vision. I had a vision when I came here. I'm just thankful that everybody that's been here at the building for such a long time embraced that vision and made the changes that take us to the place we are today. We've had a lot of changes and we've grown. And that's what we need to do in this industry. The owner, my boss, we realized that we needed to take Valley View to the next level, and that's what I was here to do. And I think we've done it.
When you hire people, that's the toughest job, I would imagine, because you're bringing them into your family.
When I do orientation with the new staff, I tell them, I've hired you, I brought you here, and I brought you into my residents' lives, and I take that very seriously. So I trust that you will make the right decisions and that you will go forward and make this the best job that you've ever had, and you enjoy coming to work. You check your baggage at the door, and if you can't do those things, then this isn't the right place for you.
Well, and here we are in the dining room where you see the residents and the wait staff. That's, they're their friends.
They are. And they have access to their lives in a way that they wouldn't have if I didn't place them in these positions. And staff need to realize that. I talk about the fact that we knock on their doors before we enter, that this is their home, that at 5 o'clock or when their shift's over, they don't walk out the door. They live here 24 hours a day. This is their home. They don't need, you can share your lives with them, the good parts, and they want to know what's going on with you. But also, we need to remember that we have to respect their boundaries and their home and make sure that this is a great place for them to be. And that when they lock their door in their apartment, that it's theirs. And I think that when you bring staff in, they need to know how important it is to respect them and sustain as much dignity that you can for the residents.
Right, establishing that level of comfort, not only with the residents, but with their family.
Right. And families even residents will say to us, I don't want you to call my daughter if this happens or that happens. Every resident has a right to still make their choices and drive their choices to have the best quality of life that they want. And sometimes that isn't always involving the family. Sometimes that's over-involving the family. But we need to make sure we're respecting their choices. And that's very important in this day and age, is to respect our elders' choices and what they want to have for a quality of life in their later years.
Well, we've got a lot of events going on.
We do. We're busy. Sherry, I'll let her introduce herself, is here to talk about what we have coming up for the holidays, starting with Trick or Treat.
Hi, my name is Sherry Hicks. I'm the Recreation Director for Garden Plaza Valley View, and we do always have a lot of community events that we welcome the community here. And kicking off on Saturday, October 27th, we have our Halloween Trick or Treat, and we welcome all our neighbors, families, and friends to come and trick or treat. Our residents will be giving out candy, and we'll have a cookie dessert bar where all the kids can decorate their own Halloween spooky cookie. So we invite all our friends out there in the community to come and join us. Once again, that's October 27th, a Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock.
That's today.
That's today.
That's right. That's
all right.
Today.
As it's going on right now. That's great. And what's it like, the interaction between the residents and the people that come in, the community, the neighborhood? What's that like to be a part of?
It's wonderful for our residents. They truly enjoy they live an active lifestyle, and the community and the children coming in, it just makes their day. You see the smiles. It makes a memorable moment for them. It brings back good memories.
And that's so important.
It is. And we end our trick or treat with them being able to, this afternoon, decorate their own cookies and taking that home with them. So we fill them full of plenty of sugar and send them home. But that's just the start to our holiday. So October is over for us. We're on to Sherry by the 15th of every month prior to the month before. We know everything we're going to do the next month. So we have planned out November and December. So we're already on to the first of the year. So some of what we're doing this year is a lot different. So I'll let her share with you what November and December look like.
Well, in October, we invited Ceramica here, and we painted soup bowls for the Idaho Food Bank. And so from there, we will stretch that out, and meeting the needs out in our community, our residents are doing a canned soup drive, and we'll do that through all of November. And then when December rolls around, our building will be very festive, and we decorate, I'm going to guess about 8 large trees, 12-foot trees. But our main tree, as we walk into our dining room, will be our giving tree. And our residents will be collecting books, children books, to decorate that tree, and we will donate all those children books to the United Way Foundation.
Why the United Way? Just the easiest way to get those out to the kids?
We've been partners with United Way, and we've done a lot of charitable events with them.
That's so important to be a part of the season. First of all, you get some decorations for the tree, and then you have some real-life presents for some kids that need it.
Yeah, we do. We also in November do a resident satisfaction survey. So that is November 5th through the 16th. So how we kind of run our season is the residents always ask how they're going. They've been used to giving their whole holiday season. It's not all about them. And I think this generation is phenomenal for volunteering and giving back to the community and always being a part of things that happen in the schools or libraries. So they ask us, they like having that go on. So our resident satisfaction kicks off with, we give them a blind survey that they do, and it gives me my report card on the whole building. So every year in November, we ask everyone's opinion on everything that goes on in this building. And those numbers are collaborated and put back to us so that we can improve or know that we're doing a great job.
November also getting ready for Thanksgiving. Last week we talked to Paul, and we're focusing in on the food and such. What other activities do we have right before Thanksgiving?
We are having our Giving Thanks dessert bar event, and we invite all our family and friends and our neighbors as well to come in and join us in serving the community, our senior community here at Garden Plaza, 32 years.
Yeah.
This November.
Yeah, so that's our anniversary date also. So part of the reason we go through this is November is the anniversary for the building. So it'll be 32 years this year. The other thing is that November kicks off into Christmas. But what we all have to realize is there's a lot of preparation. So we will flip on the lights, and every Christmas tree light, the building lights and everything, we have a lighting ceremony that happens on December 1st. And then that kicks off Christmas. So we spend the week after Thanksgiving, when all of you are on vacation and enjoying things and going places, we're decorating the building 24/7 so that on December 1st.
That's commitment.
Yes,
That's commitment.
That Sherry can flip a light with all of us standing there, and then we go, ooh, this is wonderful. And we realize it took about 80 hours to get Christmas decorations up and lights on the building in the highest peaks that we have.
When we talk about the holidays, it's always important to have that extra attention, right?
I think that we lose sight sometimes of what the holidays are about. And this generation, there's a lot of hype and family comes to visit, but it's also it can be a very depressing time. It can be a time of reflection that isn't always, it can be a very sad time for certain residents. And what we try to do is make sure that they're able to enjoy the holidays, remember the wonderful things and the smells of food and Christmas trees and lots of lights, and have somewhere they are proud to bring their families to share. A lot of times, great-grandchildren will only come in for Christmas, and that's the one time a year they see them. We want to make sure that they're able to share the community with them so that they are proud of where they live and have everybody's welcome in our doors. The more the merrier.
Sure. More coming up next on KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, we are back once again. Welcome home, Garden Plaza, Valley View. And we've got a very special guest with us today.
We do. One of the things we pride ourselves here at Valley View is that we do have, we like to embrace a lot of different religions and a lot of different backgrounds and people. And one of the people is here today. Sam helps us to bring that all to play at Valley View and helps us with the community in general and the clergy needs we might need around our building. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you bring to Valley View? Introduce yourself first.
My name is Sam Tremaine, and I'm a chaplain here at Valley View for the independent and the assisted living. And what I do is I just try to provide spiritual care. I'm here to be able to talk with people, to pray with them, to encourage them, to give them spiritual advice. I do a couple different chapel services. I do 2 over in assisted living Wednesdays and Fridays, and then I do one here in independent on Wednesday mornings. And just share with people. We sing the old hymns of the faith. They find that to be encouraging, and I share with them from the Bible.
And Sam, why is that important?
Well, I think it's important because a lot of people, they already have a connection with God. They already have a faith. Sometimes as they begin to age, they begin to question or to be able to doubt the genuineness of their faith, the strength of their faith. And I'm there to be able to encourage them as they see their body change, to kind of make sure that their faith and their spirit doesn't change along with that process.
It's quite a responsibility.
It's a good responsibility. I enjoy what it is that I do. I enjoy the way that it's set up for me to be able to do it. It kind of fits my faith. It kind of fits some of my giftedness, and so I'm just glad that I can help out in this way.
Why is that important at the Garden Plaza level?
I think at the community here, the one role that Sam plays is also for Sherry and other staff members here to call upon you at times to help with the hardest situations we have. The reality of what goes on in a community that has independent living, assisted living, and even the skilled nursing is that we are in the last years of our residents' lives. Things can change in a moment. Things can change over weeks. And depending on how people are prepared and what their views are. I think that sometimes it's the best time to provide them with someone to reach out to help define that role in their life. And it's different for everyone. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, it doesn't have to be the same for everyone.
It's definitely not the same for everyone. And so not only do I get to work with the residents when they are getting close to making that transition from this life to the next, but I get to help the families, I get to help the staff be able to deal with questions or with their emotions during those kinds of situations. New people who move in, whether they are people of a church background or have a faith background, I usually have the opportunity to just introduce myself, touch base, let them know spiritually what it is that we have to offer for them, and just make sure that their transition from either the outside or from one side of the facility to the other is going smooth. And if there's anything that they need that they don't feel they can talk to the staff, they can talk to me, then I can relay that on to the staff on their behalf. But yeah, a lot of it is a lot of times just helping them as they get close to knowing that their time here on earth is coming to a close, and just making sure they don't have any regrets and don't have any guilt, and that it's going to be a peaceful time for them.
And I think recently we've had something kind of new we brought to the table too, is that when we do have a loss in the community, Sam has stepped up and helped us more with having those services in-house. So you have somebody who's been a big part of the community, lived here 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, 2 years. Sometimes it's good closure for the residents, too, to have a service here in their home and have somebody familiar to guide that for us. And we've called upon you more.
Numerous times. But that's one of the other special things I get to do.
Sam, when we take a look at dealing with residents' families, can you share with us how you help them with faith?
Usually I'm just there to, just let them know that they're not alone. Let them know that, there is spiritual guidance available to them. Maybe reassure them from the Bible what it is that God has to say about what their loved ones have just gone through. Again, as Pam mentioned, just making myself available if they need me to be a part of the service or to do the whole service, to be able to do that for their loved ones. So I think it's just being able to just comfort the family during a time of grief.
And certainly having Sam here is immeasurable when you have people that, when you lose somebody at work, it's work, but losing somebody in your home, community, is very different than what most of us will ever experience.
Yeah, I think sometimes in the healthcare field, people that haven't served in this type of position or work, we forget how much loss and grief we have sometimes on a daily basis. Coming into the holidays, it's brought home to all of us, even this last couple of weeks, how much some people bring to the table and other people have to deal with. I mean, for staff to come to work and find out that we've lost one of their favorite residents, they still have to have their uniform on, wait on the other residents, and talk about what the best part of that resident might have been and what they brought to the community. We try and make it a positive thing, but I think Sam can agree that sometimes processing is the hardest thing we do, because we don't, as staff, I don't have time to process it. I may see that person, and then 2 hours later, I'm letting residents know that someone has passed. And we all need help with that at different times.
Sam, what's your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge is probably just trying to make sure that the residents know that I'm here for them, that it's just not what I do. It's who I am. It's not a job. It's not an obligation. It's a calling. And just whether they participate in my services or whether, I've been able to pray with them, I'm here for them. I'm here to talk with them and So I think the biggest challenge is just letting people know, and sometimes that comes through just developing a relationship, building a platform of trust. There's a lot of people here in our community of Valley View that don't attend my services, but yet on a weekly basis I get to sit down and talk with them and just find out how they're doing and let them know that I care.
And the most rewarding part, do you have maybe a story that you could share about someone who spoke with you and it made a difference in their life, made a difference in their experience living here?
I have so many stories. I don't know that you have time for me to be able to share. But, I think just seeing people be able to know that, when they have a question about spiritual things, when they have something going on in their life and they know it's related to spiritual things, and they don't know the answer, but yet they know that if they come and they ask, that hopefully from me they'll be able to get the right answer, and that'll hopefully touch them where they're living. But it's been such a privilege for me to be able to be a part of this community in the spiritual sense, these years that I've been doing it, and I have multiple stories that I could share.
Sure. Finally, we've got about a minute left. What would you say to people that the holidays will be a tough time for them?
I would just say the one thing that I believe that God has given to all of us is the fact that we have memories. And even though your loved one may be gone, there's still those memories. And there's only one way that those memories cannot become real, and you can draw comfort and peace and strength from those memories, and it's if you bury them. It's if you forget them. And so it's okay, even though your loved one may be gone, it's okay for you to think about the times where you spent in the holidays, the traditions, reliving those, even though your loved one may be gone, and drawing that peace and that comfort and that strength from that.
Sure, and making sure that people during the holidays are taken care of.
Well, I think that sometimes we just need to remember that the holidays are special, but sometimes they're also very heartfelt. They mean something different for everyone.
That's correct.
More coming up next here. You're listening to Welcome Home on 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, we are here once again. Welcome home, Garden Plaza of Valley View. And we've got a very special guest with us. Another special guest.
We do. We've got a lot of special people at Valley View. We like to think that everybody brings something new and different. And lately, our residents have had a new project. And Sharon's here to talk a little bit about what that is. So introduce yourself and tell us what you're up to today.
All right. My name is Sharon Wolf, and I live here at Valley View. I'm the assistant editor of our new little newspaper we're putting out. We're just still in the new stages of this project. Right now, I'm working on interviewing a resident each month. And in addition to that, I found that a lot of people don't know about the Taxi Script program. And it's a simple procedure if you just know what to do. So this morning I went down to the Boise Senior Center. The City of Boise Recreation Department offers these script tickets. If you buy a book of 10 tickets, it costs you $10, but it's worth $20 worth of rides. I've found the taxi service to be very prompt and courteous and very, very helpful. They'll carry your groceries in and whatever you need to have done, they're willing to do. The Recreation Department is anxious for people to sign up. This morning, 4 of us went down, and they were so glad to see this many of us arrive.
Well, is that part of your reporting?
It's a project for this month's issue that will be coming out the 1st of November.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Well, it wasn't really. It just took some phone calls and note taking and that sort of thing.
Why is the newsletter, the newspaper, so important?
Well, it's for the people, by the people, and it's a fun project. None of us are professionals at this sort of thing, so it's pretty low key. This month also, I'm doing kind of a roving reporter project where I've asked people, what is your advice to all of us living here at Valley View? And the questions can be anything from count your blessings to push your chairs in after you're through eating.
Sure.
So, people, they enjoy it. It gives them something to read, and we have a joke of the month and a little want ad section if you have something to give away or trade. Some poetry, just various articles. We try to vary it each month so it doesn't become monotonous.
Well, I can tell you've put a lot into it already.
Well, it's a fun project. As I say, we're novices at this and we're still learning, but we want it to be fun.
When you're not working on the newspaper, what are you doing?
I stay busy here at Valley View.
I get that, yeah.
And we have wonderful programs, outside programs, music programs, how to. I play a card game. We have bingo, other various games, Trivia Pursuit, which is a team event. That's lots of fun. But I think it's important to get out of your room and involve yourself. Good way to get acquainted and stay active.
We've really, I think Sherry and all of us have embraced this newsletter because sometimes we all put together these beautiful, fancy newsletters that have the calendar in them and a professional place prints them, and they have these wonderful articles in them that we think are important. And what we realized, what the residents have a voice. They have things they want to talk to each other about. They were also, it's been great that Sharon's included, they interview a staff member.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Each month. So talk a little bit about who you choose to interview.
Well, I don't do the staff interviews, but so I'm not sure how she is choosing that. Marilyn Carmen does that. I just do the resident. The first one that I did was a woman who's lived here for many years, and I think she's 101 or 102. It was an amazing interview, and we found out lots of things about her that we didn't know, her life and where she had lived, and careers, her families. And people enjoyed it. I had a lot of feedback about how interesting and how much they enjoyed that.
That means a lot.
Yes, it does. And it helps people be involved and get to know people better.
Well, that is important, and that is important that do you have any tips for us on how to ask the right questions? I mean, that could be intimidating, interviewing someone who's 101.
Well, no. One of the first things I asked her was, do you mind if we talk about your age?
That can be, that can be tricky.
Yeah.
And she didn't mind.
No, she's proud of it, and I don't blame her. She should be.
Right.
She's an amazing person.
What, was that the best interview you've done so far?
Well, I have another one in the works for maybe next month or the following month of one of the residents. who had a good career going with the Forest Service, and he had just been in many different positions, but began to have problems with detached retina, and eventually had both eyes involved. So he's totally blind, but he is not handicapped. And it was amazing talking to him about how he can do his own laundry, iron in the dark, his collections, his hobbies. He's active, rides the tandem bike with his son. So it's been quite an involved, lengthy interview that I'm having a little trouble cutting down to size.
Why, you have a restriction there on how many words?
Well, no.
Okay.
Not a restriction as to words, but more as to space.
Sure. I imagine everybody has a story here.
I'm sure they do. So it won't be hard to find interesting residents. Everyone has their story.
Right, and you can do that when you're not on the loose.
True. Keeps me out of trouble, too.
I can relate. Well, that is so important. Everybody here at Garden Plaza has a story. And the fact that we have the newsletter, the newspaper to tell that story, and people have that time in the spotlight, that recognition.
Yes.
I think what this brings to light is that if you look at what you have in our community, we have great resources to bring wonderful information to great people and to share a story of your life. And it's like the taxi. I would have never thought to look into that. It gives them more mobility when they're not driving and they want to go out to dinner or go out on a Sunday to church or go somewhere that our transportation really doesn't allow for it, but they still are mobile and want to go. And to find the resources to make it affordable for everyone is great to share. And those are the things that the newsletters brought to light, is that our residents are the greatest source of what we need to do to make their lives better if we just ask them. All we do is print it, which is great, and it's growing.
Yeah.
The first issue was basically one page folded, and now we're up to 2 or 3. So we're more than happy to print whatever they write and share with every resident, and it's become a highlight of the month.
Anything else you'd like to share with us?
We're glad to be sharing this with you. And we hope to develop it more and become more experienced at what we're doing.
You're never too old to learn.
No, for sure.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Welcome back to Welcome Home here at Garden Plaza of Valley View. And Pam, we're talking more about the newsletter here.
We are. We're talking about the resident newsletter that's by the people, for the people, is what Sharon said, which is probably the best quote of the day. So we'll let Marilyn introduce herself and tell us
It's kind
about
of
what
like
she
the
does.
Constitution, too.
It is,
Yeah.
she kind of stole the line, so we'll go with it.
Well, my name is Marilyn Carmen, and I interview somebody every month, one of the residents every month, and write about it, so that everybody at Valley View can know who's doing what.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're the watchdog.
Watchdog.
You have some experience, though.
Yeah, I created a newsletter, and well, I'm a pastor's wife, and in one of the churches, I created a newsletter. So I did everything.
Sure.
Yeah. So this really isn't a big hard job for me.
What was it like getting it started?
Getting here.
The newsletter started. Yes, ma'am.
Well, just thought about who I wanted to interview and set it up. And somebody set it up. I don't remember exactly. But anyway, I just sit down with this person and talk to them and ask them what, about their job, if it's a job,
Sure.
and, just get some information, and then I write it up.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Well, I don't consider it a lot of work. I find it interesting. Well, this is something I do 8 hours a day, every day. I mean, this is like once a month.
Okay.
Who was your first interview?
I don't remember.
Was it Carol? At the front desk?
Yeah. Well, I didn't interview her, really. She wrote it herself.
Oh, yeah. See?
Well, you're revealing all the secrets now.
Well, I didn't ask her to write it. I set up an interview time and place, but she had it, when I arrived, she had it all written up, and so that was that. Yeah.
Sure. Who are you interviewing this month?
Oh, I don't know. My memory is very bad, so questions like that coming at me, I can't field very well.
I'm with you. What do you love about being here?
Being here at Valley View?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it's a very pleasant place to be. There's a lot to do, and there's always somebody around to talk to. The food is good. Transportation is. I did have a car for a while, but I gave it up, but that doesn't matter. If we have a bus that takes us to the store and things like that.
Sure.
And it's a very pleasant place to live.
Right. That is a big move, giving up your car.
Oh, it is. I think that's probably the thing I look forward to regretting the most. I think that all of us at a young age are, however that works. Let's see, I look forward to, I know I'm going to be the hardest day of my life is when somebody says, give me my keys.
Right.
And I have witnessed that more in my career than I like to talk about. I've disabled cars. I've talked about the fact of, had insurance companies or had people have accidents. And I think losing your car is a huge part of feeling like you lose your freedom. Independence.
Because of course, they provide a substitute here,
right?
But that isn't quite the same as having your own car and going whenever you want to.
Well, the biggest freedom day in every person's life, I believe, is that day you get your driver's license and you get to walk out and start that car and drive away by yourself. That's a huge piece of independence. Mm-hmm. So to come full circle and have somebody say, I'm going to quit.
Paying insurance on it.
Yeah.
But you're right about that. But that's where the attention to detail, working with the residents, the staff, the care, the compassion, the trust, and as we've talked about here at Garden Plaza, Valley View, that's where that comes in to allow the residents to be comfortable with giving up that freedom to make sure that they can get to and from without the stress of driving. Because it's pretty stressful now in the Treasure Valley.
Agreed. I think that we have more traffic. We have a lot more roads. We have a lot more everything in Boise than I think probably when Marilyn started driving.
Right. Yes. So everybody complains about the traffic, and I'm just glad I don't have to deal with it.
Sure, you're in the bus having a good time.
Yeah.
And I believe, and our drivers, it's really nice to have someone take you to the doctor, help you out of the van.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Walk you in, make sure that your appointment's that day and settled, and then come back and
pick you up. Yeah. Yes, I've had that experience, and it's very, very good, very reassuring.
Yeah. And I think that that's a big part of what our community provides. It's just those extra little things that when our life changes, that we can step up and provide those services that keep you as independent as you want to be, so you don't lose your independence.
Well, that whole feeling of that you're not alone.
Yeah. And I think one of the greatest things is that we're all in it together. So whether it's the residents or staff or even visitors and family, there's somebody else to reach out to understand how each day feels and what we're going to do to conquer a bad day and a good day, and how to make everybody's life better.
Well, and that is so important, the quality of life, having a good life and enjoying yourself, because life can be stressful.
No kidding.
Right.
That is something you've learned over the last few years. It's not a bowl of cherries.
Not always.
Is there any advice you give people based on just your life experience, ma'am?
Oh, you mean here?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'd say keep an open mind.
Right.
Don't come with any preconceived notions about the weather, plus or minus. Just and be open to people and be friendly.
Sure.
Yeah.
And no one eats alone here. No one eats alone.
Not if they can help it, I guess.
Right. And, so many times in life we always want to, well, we can handle things, but it's so comforting to have people that are in the same part of life that we are, the same circle of life we are.
Yes, that's true. Yes. Yes, I'm very happy here, and I feel I have a good life here. Yeah.
And that's the most thing that we want to hear, is that we're succeeding in quality of life, in providing the best service we can, the best customer service, from the staff in the dining room to our drivers that drive people. Every day somebody can make a difference if they just reach out a hand and help someone.
Earlier you were talking about already planning for next year, and here we are in October. How does that work?
I just live my job, and
And your staff does too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, we have a budget. It's October.
Sure.
It's budgeting time. The holidays will happen with or without us. We just are a part of that. We're just a part of creating it, but each day comes and we have to look at what is going to happen next year. I'm already on to 2019. Isn't that amazing
that
to
is
even
next
say?
year, yeah.
And it's going to happen. And so we have to be prepared.
And certainly getting through the holidays, we've been focusing on that because, today it's trick or treat here, and then we kick off the holidays.
And they happen. We don't get to say, whoa, stop. 3 days from now, let's have Thanksgiving because I don't have all the turkeys here and they're still frozen.
Right.
So I guess thinking on your feet is the best part that comes with your job. But we manage a lot of residents, a lot of things that go on, and we have to be prepared for that. And part of that is looking beyond tomorrow into next year.
And getting ready for the weather.
Well, yeah, I think the snow is probably going to fall, and we aren't going to stop that either. And then shovel the sidewalks.
Thanksgiving and the snow is going to fall.
No matter what we do,
right.
Those two things are probably going to happen.
Sure. And that's such a concern, though, whether whether someone is here in the Treasure Valley or, miles away, that their loved one is safe in their home.
Well, and safety in the winter is a huge reason that residents leave their homes. That snow and ice outside the door is impossible to live your daily life if you don't have some assistance to do it. I mean, we shovel the walks, we put down ice, we work so hard to keep things from being slippery, and so every day when the snow flies is a challenge for us. Every day somebody has to be out there salting and shoveling and making sure our residents are safe. That is a big part of residing in a community like this, is staying safe. And it goes from the snow to Christmas dinner, and those things all have to be taken care of.
And I'm getting a note from our producer here. She wants me to remind everybody the website, valleyviewret.com, valleyviewret.com, or your phone number, 322-0311. That's 322-0311.
And you can also check us out on Facebook. One of the things we've been trying to do is make sure that we post everything that's going on in Facebook. What we learned with the newsletter also was that there's a lot of techie residents out there that are logging into their computers or their iPads and looking at what's going on, and family members that want to know what's going on. They can see all of our invitations, and so you can check us out on Facebook and know what's going on in the building on a daily basis.
And there we have it. Thank you all. Have a great afternoon. You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio.